channel, and then I have to
right, we're live on YouTube. Am I pinned, Jane? Can you see us live on YouTube? Hi, YouTube. We are here. Welcome, welcome, welcome to this episode of Hit Talks. I just really want to be able to thank absolutely every single person that is here watching us live on Facebook and watching us live on YouTube and watching the replays. So welcome, 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 as I say, to this episode of Hit Talks Live. People say to me, what is Hit Talks all about? And Hit Talks is all about, obviously, HIT, H-I-T, which is hope, inspiration, and transformation. And 8 speakers speaking for 8 minutes on 8 different perspectives from their heart. And 8 is a magical number. 8 is infinity. 8 is balance. It's flow. It's yin and yang. And we've been going now since the 2nd of February 2020, which 02/02/2020, believe it or not, equals 8. And it was a divine download to create Hit Talks. It's not my baby. It's something that I have been given from the divine to create, to actually bring together amazing speakers to share their story of hope, of inspiration, and of transformation. And today, being the 25th of November, we run the Hit Talks every 13 days. And the energy, the background energy of Hit Talks is around the ancient Mayan calendar. So every single 13 days, when we start a 13-day Trecena, we work with the energies. And the energies of today is all about forgiveness. It's all about forgiveness of oneself and others. And it's, you know, when we think about forgiveness, we think about how often do we step back and actually forgive ourselves for perhaps beating ourselves up for not being good enough, perhaps forgive ourselves for eating that chocolate cake, whatever the forgiveness is. How often do we step into that vibration? And then somebody said to me, Vicky, did you know the 25th is actually the UN's International Day of Elimination of Violence Against Women? And I was like, okay, well, maybe we'll dedicate this special edition of Hit Talks against this topic, because, you know, the elimination of violence, and then you have the forgiveness of self and others, it kind of married. And I was like, wow. Then I stepped back and I thought a little bit about it. And what is Hit Talks about? Hit Talks is about hope, inspiration, and transformation. And then you think about the words of the UN's International Day of Elimination and Violence. And if you think about it, words, frequency, and they're vibrational frequencies. So I was going out there with Hit Talks, hope, inspiration, and transformation. Let's eliminate violence. And it didn't seem to marry up. There was a few things going on in the Hit Talks field that really wasn't vibrating the way that it was. And I kind of stepped back a little bit, and a coach and friend and mentor have said of mine that, do you think it's the words that you're putting around your logo at the moment? Do you think it's the words that's going out there that you're talking about elimination? You know, that's the end. You know, that's death. You're talking about violence, you know, you're bringing that into your field. And I was like, yeah, elimination, let's twist that around. Elimination, the end. Let's not have the end. Let's have the beginning. Okay, violence, let's not have violence. You know, the opposite of violence is gentleness. It's love. So let's have this about love and about the beginning. You know, that's what hope, inspiration, and transformation is about. But there is, you know, we've got to be realistic in the world that there are things happening in the world at this lower vibrational frequency. And the more that we can do collectively, the more that we can do in alliance, then the more we can actually then help raise the frequency of those around us. You know, the mission of Hit Talks is to get into the heads, get into the hearts, and get into the homes of as many people as we possibly can with hope, inspiration, and transformation. And during that journey, if we are able to eliminate any violence, if we're able to eliminate any fear, any of these low vibrational frequencies, these energies that are around there, then we're doing what we're meant to do. And this is the collective people that are here on the same vibrational frequency, on the same mission for us to be able to do this. And I was sharing with the speakers just before we came on, is that I was so close after something that, you know, a production that we've just done at Hit Talks, of not going ahead with this episode because it wasn't flowing, because of the lower vibrational words that I was bringing into the field. And I do have to really dedicate this episode as well to the amazing Preet and the amazing Brad, because they're the people that have brought these speakers here. You know, I was just like, let's just move it on and let's just do another episode later on because it's not flowing. And you know, we've never missed an episode every 13 days. If not, we've done more. And these amazing people just were there supporting me, you know, holding my back, you know, being there with me saying, Vicky, I've got these amazing people. Let's give them, you know, let's bring them together. Let's do this. And I have to thank you both from the bottom of my heart, because, you know, the more that we can bring amazing people together to share their stories of hope, share their stories of inspiration, and share their stories of transformation, then the new world will actually live in a higher vibrational frequency. So again, from the bottom of my heart, you two, thank you so much. And again, welcome to everybody that's new to me and new to Hit Talks that's here in the speaker room. I know that you're part of our family already. And as I say, everyone watching the live, everyone watching the replay, and everyone watching the little 8-minute snippets that are going to be happening as well. So anyway, that's enough of me talking, because we are now just going to follow with the flow now of hearing some stories of hope, inspiration, and transformation from the heart. As you know, if you're new to Hit Talks, or whether or not you've come back as well, these stories are not prepared. This is literally from the heart. This is just whatever feels good at the time. So before we go further, I would like to again ask you to sit back, ask you to relax, ask you to enjoy, open your heart, open your head, open all of your chakras and your feelings, and just listen to these stories of hope, inspiration, and transformation. So Preet, you are first up, my dear. I would like to say that, you know, you have been an inspiration to Hit Talks and to me, and from the people that you are bringing to the world. Not ask just you to relax, ask you to enjoy, open your heart, open your head, open all of your chakras and your feelings, and just listen to these stories of hope, inspiration, and transformation. So Preet, you are first up, my dear. I would like to say that, you know, you have been an inspiration to Hit Talks and to me. What's happening here? The people that you are bringing to the world. Not just to relax, ask you to enjoy, open your heart, open your head. Right, I don't know, right. All of your chakras. This is the good thing about being live, and this also means that we're going to be able to edit this out of the video replay. As I said, it must be the vibrational frequency. I would like to say that, you know, you have been an inspiration to Jane, I think we need to stop this for some reason. I have no idea. To the world. Not just relax. Can everyone mute themselves? Open your heart, open your head. Right,
I think, does Preet have the YouTube on live?
Live, and this also means that we're going to be able to edit this out of the video replay. As I said, it must be the vibration.
That was something.
Does Preet have the YouTube on live?
Well, everybody is muted. Right, technology. Can you hear me?
That was something.
Does Preet have the YouTube on live?
Well, everybody is muted. What is happening?
If there's another screen open on your computer, it might be playing when you went live.
Right, technology. Can you hear me? There's not one on mine. Mine's.
That was something.
YouTube on live.
Does anybody have?
If there's another screen open on your computer, it might be playing when you went live.
Right, technology. Can you hear me? There's not one on mine. Mine's.
That was something.
Hello, Vicky. Hello, Vicky. Please turn off your YouTube if you have anything turned on in your screen.
If there's another screen open on your computer, it might be playing.
Can you hear me, everybody?
Yes.
Oh, good. Oh, good.
Well, technology, but I don't really see what's happened there. But anyway, everyone watching the live here, it's just like, we will cut this out of the recording and send you the recording. But anyway, let's go ahead, further ado, and let's introduce you again to the amazing Preet. Team, if you can actually put Preet's bio up onto the screen for me. Yes, not only is she just been such an advocate and such a support for Hit Talks Live, there is so much that she's doing in the world. You know, we speak very often, nearly every single day, and it's all about how she can help others, how she can serve others, how she's following her guidance, but also in the technology industry, she is going to be making waves. And I know that for an absolute fact. So anybody here that's watching the live, anyone watching, and they're still with us because of their technical difficulties, anyone watching the live or anyone watching the replay, if you don't know Preet, please reach out to her and tell her that you saw her through Hit Talks, because I know that she's definitely worth connecting to. So without further ado, I now give you your 8 minutes, my love.
Wow, that was something. Oh, well, thank you, Vicky. I absolutely adore you and everything you show up in the world, how you show up in the world. So I absolutely appreciate your presence in my life. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for your presence. And today, well, the topic, domestic violence. Well, I'm going to say I'm a 39 years domestic violence survivor. So since childhood, I was in my home, in my family, in my neighborhood, I was told that I was the darkest girl in the family. In the school, I was dyslexic. So going to school, I had problems there because teachers hit me almost every single day of my school life. So it wasn't fun. But what the fun part of the story was, I survived, and I was resilient, and I kept on moving. And last sort of 4 years, I've handheld a lot of women, especially some men, but mostly women, helping them to come through from their domestic violence story, because I just learned I had while I was kind of going through my spiritual journey, I was still going through domestic violence, but I was also on my very deep spiritual journey, living like a yogi, wearing a white sari, all that, I'm living up the mountain, all that, you know, you do in life. And from that, and then I was also in leadership development trainings with many leaders across the globe. So that kind of helped me, and I happened to meet a lot of people in that journey. And I was getting a lot of downloads. How can I kind of see these situations in a way? So, and I feel really proud to say that every single situation I had in my life, I almost leveraged it. I made a platform of it, that situation, and then rose above it and stood on top of it and say, hey, so what? Go away. And so feel really proud to share that where I am today, because every single person in my life right now is an angel. So from where I was born to where I am now, it's like, you know, earth and sky. So I guess I can be qualified to help people who've gone through domestic violence. But what I really wanted to touch today, when I was asking, when Vicky asked me to do this, what really came through to me, that I just want to share with people that no matter what situation you're in, that situation is there to make you, to find a way to come out of it. So it's like there's a word in Hindi, I don't know the English translation of it. It's like a chakravyu. So you have to find a way. Chakravyu is like different, like a round and round circles. There's another way to look at it, that if there's a challenge in front of us. So we have a person, for example, let's keep it real. If there's a person in our life, a partner, parent, or any person in our life who's kind of making us feel bullied. And how do you recognize that you're being bullied? When they talk to you, your heart beats. You don't feel looking forward to talking to them. You don't feel joyous after you had that interaction with them, and you come off that conversation, you feel depleted. So that's the checks and balances. So sometimes people don't even know that they are going through domestic violence. So these are some of the measurements we can check. And it's really important that people we live with, that we feel joy when we're listening to them, when we're having every interaction. From now, this is how I view it, that every interactions that we have, conversations with friend or a partner or a sibling, it should bring joy to our heart. So if the joy is not coming, not necessarily that means you're going through domestic violence, but there could be some judgment, there could be a certain, so actually in some way, we all go through domestic violence at some level, because we are humans, our minds are geared towards kind of seeing our own way. I learned that one way to kind of rise above domestic violence is to learn to respect yourself, raise yourself to that point where other person cannot talk to you in a certain way. When you allow them to talk to you in a certain way once, then they have that sort of a key to do it again and again and again, setting boundaries. Even setting boundaries at some level, it helps us to elevate our consciousness, that, okay, now you have a safe space where you grow yourself. But then now you in that safe space, how do you now use your energies to elevate yourself to a point where people don't feel that they could be in that way around you? They just, there's another word for Hindi word is called sanskar. So there's sanskar of violence, like a printer's block on their mind of a violent person wouldn't emerge when you're around them, when you learn to be in certain way. So it's just learning. So that's my biggest message to every person on this planet who's going through domestic violence, to kind of being in that sense, learning to be in the way that other people cannot treat you any less. So when that energy is coming towards you, which cause you disturbance inside you, not only you're going to put a shield around you, also going to have some boundaries, but then also be observant. But also you can also learn to use that situation to leverage yourself. So one of the ways I dealt with my domestic violence situations, numerous domestic violence situations, to keep running away. So I would put up with with that person for a while, and then after some time, 6 months, 1 year, I'll pack my bags and leave, and they could never find me afterwards. I had to keep doing that. And so that served me at certain time, because I traveled around, I did a lot of things, met a lot of people. It made me a wiser person. But then now it's a time for me to settle down, because the people I'm with now, they're beautiful. They love me for who I am. They don't tell me every day, oh, this is your fault. Every single day, my partner always tells me, do you understand when I'm telling you you're beautiful? Do you hear me when I'm telling you that? He has to highlight that to me. Another person I was with last time, he always told me that I had weird teeth, apparently. And so when I got rid of him, the first thing, would you imagine what I did? I went to the dentist, the surgeon dentist, the who actually fixed your teeth. So I said, oh, this partner I was with, now I've finished that relationship. I want to give the world my best. So can you fix my teeth? Because I can give the world my best. And he was like, what are you talking about? I want every person who walks through this surgery, I want them to have a smile like you, teeth like yours. So I have no idea whoever told you, they are telling you BS. So you need to move on. So so it's just like finding joy in every situation. When you transform that situation from whatever it is and look it in a different way, it transforms the energy. And so I'm not saying that it's like the people who are violent, they have gone through violence, and that's why they're inflicting the violence. So we can't in some ways even blame them. So it's like about us now becoming mature, becoming whole in our own self, so we feel secure. So their sanskar, their printer's block in their consciousness doesn't emerge. So I in my coaching program, I have certain ways to help people with that, but it's such a short time to share everything. But I will just leave here and send peace to everybody from here. My time is up.
Oh, thank you, lovely. I love the way that we have the alarms. I love the sounds of the alarms of different people to say that it's my 8 minutes, my time is up. And if we say thank you so much for sharing, but if we step back and we think about all of our lives, and we perhaps think about, and it's something I'm going to share later on, but sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. And you know, I don't know if anyone of you in the room, anyone watching the live and watching the replay, of those, is that like little poem ones that you remember from your childhood when not people used to sing it in the playground? But what a load of it, as you say, Preet, BS. Because words really do, words really can. You know, as I was saying in the introduction here about the vibrational frequency and the energy frequency of the words that we use, and, you know, and the sayings and things like that. And, you know, we have to be around the right people. Our environment is everything. The people that we surround ourselves with, the words that we have around us. But don't forget, you know, it's being aware. It's being aware of these words that we all use, because it's programming for so many years and generations that we have in our field. You know, and I hear myself saying something sometimes, and then I do that all the time. My kids think I'm mad. Oh, mum's got to change her vocabulary again, or mum said something she shouldn't have said. But yes, there's a lot of BS going out there, going around there, and words that we have. So thank you, Preet, so much for sharing. Which is going to bring me back onto the next speaker who's actually going to share, because the idea of Hit Talks is for women and for men. And then the UN elimination of violence against women was, you know, the UN Day is against women only. And I was just like, why women? You know, because it's not the case, because there's 1 in 5 men in the world that are actually going through some sort of physical or mental or abusive violence, you know, verbal, you know, whatever, and, you know, survive from that. And I think that, you know, if you ask my husband, I think he might say that he's one of those as well. Because, you know, again, his words, is the importance of words. But I met this gentleman through a connection, and it was like, when I met him, he's just got such a divine soul. And it's nothing to do with being a survivor. It's nothing to do with violence. It's to do with him as a person, him as a soul, what he wants to be able to do in the world. And what he wants to be able to do in the world is spread love, you know, not spread the low vibrational words like violence or elimination or anything else like that. He wants to be able to spread love, and he wants to be able to help transform people, because he's also been a person that's transformed his life. You know, we're all on a journey. We're always continually transforming, you know, and it's not we're just doing one thing. Oh, there we go, I'm transformed. It's, you know, it is a journey. But having Alan with us here at Hit Talks, I'd like to say thank you so much for being here. And I now, Alan, give you your 8 minutes to share from the heart whatever you wish to share.
Okay, thank you for having me here. What I'm going to say is as much of a mystery to me as it is to you. So, I mean, first start off by picking up on something you said, that domestic abuse isn't just about physical violence, and it's not just about men or just about women. It's about everybody. And as you've already said, it needs to stop. So my experience was more emotional and mental and being married to a lovely lady who I just didn't get on with, to put it politely. And after the breakdown of that marriage, I'm not going to go into all the details, but the mental stuff and the emotional stuff, to try and explain it to somebody else, it'd be like trying to explain why water was annoying you through Chinese water torture, going drip, drip, drip. Like, what's wrong with you? The water. What water? It's only a drip. But those drips add up over time. And every time it drops you down, it drops you down, it drops you down. And after the breakdown of that relationship and coming home to an empty house to find that somebody I trusted had effectively run off with my children, I didn't really understand why or anything. So that sent me on a journey of effectively discovery from two angles. Firstly, how could somebody do that to someone else? And secondly, how could I allow myself to end up in that position? And it's a journey that went on for years. So to summarize, years of research, both inside myself and other people, dating women that had been physically, mentally, and emotionally abused also, I found out 3 common things between the abuser and the abused. And what are those 3 things? Firstly, they don't love themselves. They are looking for love outside of themselves. They are extremely fearful. They're fearful of 2 things. 1, not being enough, whether it's good enough, pretty enough, thin enough, fat enough, tall enough, short enough, man enough, whatever. It's just, I'm scared of being not enough. And the other one is that they're scared of losing love through not being enough. And that was so true for myself. But where does it really come from? And a lot of it comes from childhood. And speaking of childhood, I just want to borrow something off my little boy, as he's not here. My little monkey. See, that represents 5-year-old me, or at some very young me. And with that, all those things you hear, not just sticks and stones may hurt my bones and words will never hurt me and all that stuff, but also you should be seen, little children should be seen and not heard, which to me says I should be seen and not heard. So that part of me that wants to speak up and make noise, I put it over there because I still want love. And heaps of other monkeys that I put over there as I was growing up and getting older. And all of a sudden, there builds up this part of me that can't be loved. It's not lovable. So I don't share that with anyone. I keep it all to myself. I hide it inside out of fear. And because of that fear of losing love or not being enough, it leaves me in a place where I'm slightly weak and vulnerable, or certainly feel that on the inside. So out of fear of losing that love, I listened to what my wife at the time was telling me, how I should change so that I could be enough or loved. And what I found was, when I went and made friends with all my monkeys, including them as part of me, it didn't matter. It didn't matter with her, it didn't matter with anybody. So now, understanding where it all came from, and it's the same with her, because she was scared of losing love, scared of not being enough, and took a different path, a path of manipulation. So now, I just want to share a little tool that could help somebody who's in that place right now, that would like their lives to change. And they're fearful. They're fearful of losing love, and that's okay. So what can you do? One of the things I learned is the power of our own bodies. See, our bodies can overpower our thoughts and our feelings. So what I invite you to do, just for a few seconds now, is to stand about a shoulder width apart, with your shoulders back. Stick your chest out a little bit and breathe deep down into your belly. And then look up. Nobody can see you. Grin like a Cheshire cat. And imagine that superhero's cape are hanging off your shoulders, blowing in the breeze. Stand like Peter Pan or Superman or Supergirl or Wonder Woman. It really doesn't matter. Whichever one you associate with being strong and powerful. Stand like that. Imagine you are them. And how you change will feel. How you feel will change in a heartbeat. And from that place, you have the confidence and strength to pick up that phone and say, can you help me? There are people all over the world that can and want to help. They just don't know you exist until you pick up that phone and say, help me. And I am nearly out of time. So there we go. Thank you.
Thank you. And one thing that we can say, Alan, is when you just give yourself time to just step back, and when you give yourself time to just feel and just really just feel. And you know, I say it's emotional in a way, really, because there's so many people that I work with and they're always on the go. And this is the thing, just that couple of minutes of you standing, you know, step width apart and being your superhero, and you know, being the inspirational person, because we are, every single one of us has magic inside of us. Every single one. It's magic inside and it's just waiting to come out. I don't know if anyone's seen the advert, the McDonald's advert on the TV with a little child inside that really wants to come out, and the mum, I'm going to put the link in the videos. And it's because it's so ironic with what we're talking about. And there's a little child and the mum's asking him something, and inside this little child, you can see the little child go, yay, yay, yay. But because it's a teenager, what he does, he's got a hood on, he pulls the hood down, he goes, no. And this is the thing sometimes in life, is that we might want to be able to do things, but then it's the fear inside of speaking out. It's the fear inside of doing something. But we do have the inner child and we do have the magic inside of us. So thank you so much for sharing that, Alan. And being here with us and being raw and real and being vulnerable, because that's how we're able to shift our vibration, and that's how we're able to support others, is when we're raw and real. And as you see with Hit Talks, we're raw and real, you know, it's not practiced, it's from the heart as we go, even the technology. You can cut that bit out of the video, Jane. So anyway, before I continue talking, as I love to talk, is I would like to now bring us on to this next amazing speaker. And this is what I love about HIT Talks, is that I start to meet people that I'd never have the opportunity to meet them if it wasn't for amazing people that have been brought into my field, because they have the same vision of hope, inspiration and transformation. And Menaka, as I say, we haven't really fully connected yet, but you know, when you meet somebody and you just have that feeling that there is just going to be some magic. You have the feeling that there is some big things to be done in the world, and when we do it in alliance and when we do it together and we do it with the same mission, then we are able, as I say, to be able to transform. So Menaka, thank you so much for being with us here at HIT Talks Live on this amazing episode of Hope, Inspiration and Transformation. And you know, I'd like you to just share about how, you know, what you do and why you do it. And you know, there's so much stuff in the world that's happening, and I know that you are a pivotal part of transforming this. So again, thank you for being with us, my love, and I now give you your 8 minutes.
Thank you so much, Vicky, and thank you, Preet, for introducing me to Vicky as well. So hi everyone, for whoever is listening today. And I was thinking, listening to both the speakers before me, and what an inspirational and transformational journey they have had, and they really shared it from their heart. So from there, I would say for me, having the freedom to be who you are is a fundamental right. And I think it is a need for every single person. I can say this from someone being a war victim, being a migrant, having had mental health issues, and 2 relationship breakdowns. And it's no secret, I tell it openly often enough, so that gives hope for someone else. In my opinion, we are all unique, different, but at the same time, we are very similar. I was just reading on the other day, it says it's 200 to 300 billion genomes, but 99% of it is the same. How ironic is that? So I think, in my opinion, someone tries to invade or impose their values or thoughts or ideas into somebody else, I think that becomes an intrusion. We feel uncomfortable. Mostly we feel it in our body. In our heart rate goes up, or we feel a bit dizzy, we feel uncomfortable, we are sad, we are angry, we go through myriads of emotions. But why does that happen? Because we all have our own values, so does other person. So I think Mahatma Gandhi says it best: if you want to change the world, you have to start the change from you. And like others have said before, it all starts from you and ends with you. But for some reason, as children or as young adults, we pick up the belief that we are not good enough. And that's the gateway, I think, where all the other values and thoughts and beliefs, everything gets pulled into us. And then we feel very uncomfortable about it. So we find it very difficult to change ourselves, but somehow we feel it's easy to change other people. And we have our own desires and fantasies and our model of the world, but we often don't realize other person also has their model of the world, their perceptions, their desires. So I think it all has to start there, because when you think each person is different, and it all starts from knowing the differences and then working from there, I think it becomes so much easier. So saying all this, I think the number one requirement is manage and lead ourselves emotionally, and even our thoughts, our actions, how it impacts on someone. So I can tell you, ironically, being in the war zone, I learned how what you say or think or do can affect a lot of people, a population, a society, families, and cause distress, loss, and heartache. So I kind of imbibe that from a very young age. However, you also become this person who wants to maintain the peace at any cost, which is also not very good, because very recently someone told me, why do you always try to avoid conflict at any cost? And that, that was that aha moment for me. And sometimes subconsciously you do things without even realizing. And I was thinking, perhaps it is true, because when you experience something, you are always trying to then avoid it. So in my life, every setback has taught me something, and it has been a lesson worth learning. So the more I learned that how things affect each other and why it's important to respect each other's values, the thoughts, the beliefs, and go together. Migration taught me why it is important to learn different cultures, different languages, and embrace other people for who they are. And then when I went through my mental health issues, my relationship breakdowns, I understood it is the perception of how we see the world. And I think recently we are more about success and material success, professional success, and we often forget how important it is for us to maintain our personal well-being. And I think when we realize without the personal well-being, nothing else happens. No professional performance or the success or wealth, none of this would matter if you don't look after yourself. So I think, to reiterate the point, what I'm trying to say is you have to always look after yourself first and get help if you need it, but always think you are enough. However you are, it's about self-worth. It doesn't matter whether you are fat, thin, tall, short, which color you are, it really doesn't matter. And when you go from that place, everything and everyone looks beautiful. The world becomes a beautiful place for you to live in. So that is my humble request for you. Please work on yourself and start spreading love. Forgive easily yourself and others. Be kind to others and spread love far and wide into everyone who we come across in life. The one last thing I want to tell before I finish is every single person is unique and special. So are you. So you don't have to change anything about you to fit into the world. You are good as you are, and every other person around you are also good the way they are. So celebrate yourself and celebrate us and celebrate around every single person around you. And world is a beautiful place and will become a beautiful place for everyone to live together in harmony, peace, and love. Thank you.
Oh, I love that. And as you said, I'm sat here and I'm stood here actually, and I'm listening to every single word that's vibrating into my field, and the positivity of you talking about words and about smiling. And then I see that smile behind you as well. And just to reiterate as well, how much does it cost to smile at somebody? Walking down the street, going into a supermarket, how much does it cost? And my children say to me, Mum, don't you go over the top sometimes with the checkout assistants or the people in the supermarkets? Because I go there and however grumpy I might feel, and I get to them and I just think, what they're doing their job, they're doing whatever they're doing, and you don't know their circumstances. They might look as miserable as sin, but it goes back to the story that I've said before of a gentleman being on a train, and he sat like this and his kids are running around and screaming and just going mad, and a lady came up to him and tapped him on the shoulder and just told him how irresponsible he was, and that can't he control his children, he shouldn't have children if he can't control them. And he just went, excuse me, ma'am, they've just lost their mother this morning, so I'm trying to find a way to explain it to them. You know, again, we don't know circumstances, we don't, you know, we got to kind of sometimes think about when we judge. There is 60,000 thoughts that go through our mind every single day. And out of those 60,000 thoughts, you know, if we can make the higher percentage of those be happy, the higher percentage of those to be on a high vibrational frequency, and then it's a ripple effect because we are all energy. Don't know. Maybe you can answer that own question. just another thought out of the 6,000 that we're going to have today and this evening. So anyway, thank you so much for being with us, my love, and for your amazing smile. Which brings me on to our next speaker, Deirdre. And I've spoke to Deirdre and loved her as soon as I met her, purely because of what she wants to be able to do, again, to transform the world, what she's been through and what she does to support children, and really how she is inspired not just to lift herself up, but to lift others up, and lift others from what she's gone through in the past, but lift others up from really saying that you have that power within to do whatever you want to do. So Deirdre, thank you so much for being with us at Hit Talks, and I now give you your 8 minutes.
Hi, everybody. I'm so happy to be here. And thank you so much, Vicki, for the introduction. So talking about violence against people, I've experienced a lot of it in my life, and I do have a great story of transformation and redemption. I have, when I was growing up, so it started at about the age of 9, unfortunately, and I was molested as a 9-year-old girl. I didn't know what to do with it. It led me down a path of getting promiscuous and getting into sexuality. And unfortunately, at that age, I just had no understanding of it, other than I thought that that was love. I thought that being intimate with someone meant that they loved you. And so that's what I was searching for. And it got me into terrible situations. When I was 10, I was raped by a 16-year-old. And, you know, that you almost manifest it for yourself. Like when you're looking for love and you're looking for that intention, you're putting yourself out into these situations that you should not be in. And it's just very, you know, it was a very painful time for me. But I look back at these things and I see how the transformation happened for me to be able to be in the place that I am today. And I like to say the 3 C's. This is actually from Brene Brown. It's courage, compassion, and connection. And those are 3 things you need to have to live a wholehearted life. And I believe I'm living a wholehearted life now. And I believe that these experiences in the past helped to give me the resilience I needed to be able to embody these 3 attributes. And so I consider myself to be a very compassionate person. And that's because I know what it feels like to be taken advantage of, to be the weaker link. And that gives me that capacity for compassion. And then I know what courage is, because I've had to step up outside of myself and say, like, I am so much more than what's happened to me. Those things don't define who I am. You know, let's say slut used to be a word in my head that I used to think that I was, but now I see that label was only put on me because I was a victim of my circumstances. And, you know, as a child, and even sometimes just when as an adult, we get ourselves into situations that we don't understand and we can't protect ourselves from. And then connection, I am such a big believer in connecting in community, because that is what saved me. That is what lifted me up. You know, I suffered from depression for many years after the abuse, because it continued on right through my teenage years. I even at the age of 16, I was a victim to human trafficking until I was 18 years old. And to come out of that and to be able to move forward and forgive myself is a big one. Forgive myself for the things that I allowed to happen to me. And then to forgive the people that harmed me, because it's not about forgiving them to let them off the hook, but it is about forgiving them to let myself let it go. And so you never forget, and you never want to see these people again, obviously, but you don't want to hold on to it. And when we don't forgive, we're holding on to anger, we're holding on to hurt, we're holding on to pain. And we think these angry feelings are somehow hurting the other person, but that's not the truth. It's only hurting ourselves. And I was able, through getting connected in community, in a group, a women's group, where we supported each other. And I went in there and I shared my story. I told them underage prostitution. I told them I was addicted to drugs at one point. I shared all of these things that I was so ashamed of and so embarrassed about myself of, and didn't think I was deserving of love or worthy of love because of them. And they just held me, like embraced me and told me that I was enough, and that my story, is meaningful, and, wow, what a great person I am to be able to overcome all of these obstacles. And slowly I was able to start to see myself through their eyes. And I could start to see that there was a beauty inside of me, and that I was smart, and I was capable, and I was enough. And so learning that through this group that I was in for 2 years, once I had really healed myself and moved forward, I thought, oh my gosh, I have to share this with other people. Like, other people need to know about this, that we get to decide who we are, not society, not our abusers, not anybody else. They don't get to say who I am. I get to say who I am. I get to write the story. And, maybe I didn't get to write it when I was younger because I had other people coming in the way. But now I'm an adult and I understand, and I can take charge, I can be empowered, and I can start to write my own story. And so I started a women's healing circle in my community. I'm a co-founder of it, and I meet with these women, and we all lift each other up and we inspire each other. And I also am the founder of Highgate Racing, Canada's largest all-female competitive cycling team, where I have a youth development program, because one of the other changes for me in my life was getting involved in sport. I got involved in triathlon and then into competitive cycling. And this helped me to start to rebuild that confidence that was missing from all the years of abuse. And, slowly starting to work my way through sport and, raise up my fitness, I started to really become more confident. And so I thought, okay, this is really important for young people. They need to be involved in something and they need to be supported. So I started the youth program to help support young women so that they don't have to turn away from sport because of finances or stress at school or whatever, and that they have a place in a community where there's other, in our team, because it's all women, there's other women supporting them and holding them up. And that's been a blessing in my life, and I absolutely adore my girls, and I love giving back to the community in that way. So there is always hope, and there is always room for growth for ourselves too. Like, I think you are never arriving at a destination. And that's something to remember, is that happiness, it's like happiness and sadness are kind of always flowing through us. And we have to just learn sometimes to sit in the sadness and just kind of observe it and say, okay, I see you. And I know you're going to move through me like the river, and you're going to pass. And then happiness is going to step back in again. And these emotions are kind of flowing in and out. And we just have to embrace sort of all of our emotions and sit in them. And meditation has helped me immensely. That is something that changed my life. So I would highly recommend meditation to anyone that is struggling right now or not struggling. It's just a beautiful practice. And that's what it is. We're here on a journey, and we are practicing life and how to get better. And I encourage you all to just take the next step. If you're struggling, just take one more step, call someone, reach out, write something, and get connected and find your community. So HIT Talks, Vicki, thank you so much for having me on today. It's such a pleasure connecting with all of you here and all of the speakers. It's absolutely an honor. Thank you.
You are welcome, my love. You really are welcome. It is so great to have you here, and the strength of you being able to share that, because I'm sure there are many people out there that have been through maybe similar or experiences and just holding it inside. And that's the thing, when we hold trauma inside, then we're not able to really move on to growth, to actually move on to your new journey, to move on to what you're doing to inspire others. And it's magical, because your strength will inspire others. Your strength will support others. And, you know, I love the courage, compassion, and connection, because you had the courage to share. And we here at Hit Talks as well, the reason we do it like this is to give every single person who wants to have the courage to share, to be able to do that. And, you know, you have the compassion, you know, the love inside of you, because as you mentioned, every single one of us deeply is love. And then connection, it's a community. Your environment, as we mentioned, your environment is so important. And, you know, everyone watching the replay, everyone here watching live as well, the environment of Hit Talks is actually your family as well as these speakers. So again, we always welcome you to have courage, to have compassion, and be a part of the community. So thank you so much for sharing that. And when we talk about sharing, we talk about people. There's some people in the world that have come into my vibrational field, and some people, they're very much about, oh, I know this person and I'm not going to share this person, or this person's going to be able to do that. And I've even had people in the Hit Talks environment that have said to me that, well, I know this person, but if you do business with this person, then I want a cut of it, before you've even met them. And I'm like, seriously? And, you know, I think that is maybe of the old, or it's very much that, oh no, because you might do something with him or you might do something with her, so I'm not going to connect because I want to be able to do that. And you just think, oh my gosh. But I know that in my vibrational field, people aren't like that. And so when I met Brad, and Brad was introduced to me through another speaker through Hit Talks, who's a dear friend. And then he was just like, I've got so many people that are amazing in the world that have been sharing the story. Meet them, Vicky, meet them, you know, put them on the platform. Let's you create magic together. And I was like, oh, thank you, Brad. And then he connected me to Jad, who, as I say, I go with trust, I go with feelings, I go with energy. You know, I work with energy every single day. And when I look at a person, when I look at their social media, when I look at who they are without any judgment, I can feel the strength and the power and their intention of what they're in this world to do. And so, Jag, I'm really, really grateful and really pleased that you're actually here with us as one of our Hit Talks speakers and sharers. And I would like to give you your 8 minutes for you to share with all of our viewers how amazing you are and the transformational things that have been in your field.
Thank you so much for having me. It's truly an honor to be alongside all of you. And I want to start by sharing some very scary statistics with you. So in Canada, on average, a woman is killed every 2.5 days. And since the pandemic began, there has been a 20 to 30% increase in rates of gender-based violence and domestic violence in some regions of Canada. And in Canada alone, 127 women and girls have been killed in a domestic homicide from January 1st to October 26, 2020. So let that sink in just for a second. Domestic violence is a major issue around the world, and it has transpired for generations and continues to be prevalent today. Today, I would like to share parts of my story with you. Where do I begin? So my journey began 12 years ago when I thought I was marrying the man of my dreams. That fantasy quickly changed, and instead of living the life of my dream, I began what soon became a 12-year nightmare. I lived through this nightmare alone and did not let anybody believe I wasn't living the perfect life. For the first 5 years of marriage, I kept all of my family and friends in the dark, even after telling them the truth and begging and pleading with them not to interfere. I stayed for another 5 years. In September 2017, with the support of my family, I finally found the courage to leave that nightmare. With 2 young children, ages 4 and 5, I left an abusive marriage and the life I had lived and known for over a decade. Now, I did my best to shield my children from the realities of my marriage, but my aha moment came when my son, who must have been only 4 at the time, and my daughter was 3. Sorry, I get really teary-eyed when I get to this point of the story. He goes to me, "Mommy, how come you and Daddy don't kiss?" And right there, that just broke my heart. And I knew I had to leave. I didn't want my son and my daughter to think that that was a normal, loving, and healthy marriage. And where there is no love, affection, no hugging or kissing. This is not what I wanted them to seek in future relationships. So with no financial stability, I had no plan, did not know how I was going to do this. I set out to start a new life for myself and my 2 kids. I knew I had to get out and give myself and my children a better life, no matter what the struggles would be. And of course, this isn't how I imagined my life would be. I mean, anyone who embarks on the journey of marriage never pictures divorce as the final end destination. So I never imagined myself being divorced. Like most little girls, I would imagine the man of my dreams, plan out my wedding day, and picture the perfect life and marriage that I would have. The fairy tale romance, the love, the companionship, the wonderfully doting husband, the kids, the house, all of it. I wanted it all. I did not imagine having to think twice about what I was going to say in fear of what could happen if an argument escalated. I did not imagine walking on eggshells in my own house, not knowing what the day would bring. I did not imagine having to hide my tears and put on a smile for the whole world to see. And I did not imagine staying in an abusive marriage for 10 years when I told myself I would never stay with a man who ever laid his hands on me. But the life I've created for myself over the last 3 years is better than any life I could have ever imagined. And the best part is that I get to do it on my terms with my children. Over the last 8 months, I have been sharing my journey from domestic violence to single motherhood on my social media platform, with the hopes that anyone else who was or is currently in a situation similar to mine knows that they're not alone. So one of the biggest things for me was that I felt I was the only one going through this. I didn't know any family or any friends who were in an abusive relationship. Now, mind you, I didn't tell anybody about what I was going through either, so perhaps they didn't want to disclose their own personal abuse, right? But it is through hearing similar stories to our own that we are able to feel inspired, to feel hope, to have our thoughts, our feelings, as well as our fears validated. And I have had so many women from all over the world and all walks of life as well reach out to me, sharing their own stories of abuse, of strength and courage, as well as their fears. Many also shared that they felt they were alone and didn't know anyone or of any place to go to for help and support. So this resulted in me creating a support group called Meri Saheli, which in Punjabi translates to my friend. And our main objective is to provide a safe haven for those who want to share their story and also obtain resources and help that they need through other organizations or their peers. And we offer help and healing and advice or any other help they need in any way that we possibly can. And every single one of us has a story to tell. Many of us are not able or at the point where we can do so openly and publicly. And as I reflect back on what I went through, I have to believe everything happens for a reason. I'm a true, firm believer of that. And perhaps my reason for going through what I went through was to use my voice and share my story so that others in similar situations may have the strength and courage to leave in an abusive relationship, to give them hope all while empowering them to live their best life. And also, I want them to know that their past does not define them. There is life after divorce. There is life after abuse. And not only will they survive, but they can thrive. And I wish to bring more light to this issue and be the voice for those who are unable to speak their own story. And this is why I share my story and my journey with as many people as I can and on as many platforms as I can, to advocate against domestic violence, to bring more awareness to its prevalence in today's society, and hopefully help people escape their own terrifying reality. So thank you so much. I am so grateful to be here and to be able to share my story and my journey and hopefully inspire people as I do. Thank you so much.
You are welcome, my love. And thank you for sharing your story, because as we say, the whole concept of Hit Talks and the whole concept of people with their messages of hope, of inspiration and transformation is the understanding that there is somebody out there that has been through or is going through the same as you have, Jag, is the same as Deirdre has, the same as Menaka has, the same as, you know, all of us. It's just at the moment, it's having the strength and the courage to share, but the platform to share as well, but also knowing that you're doing it from a place of support, you're doing it from a place of love, you're doing it from a place of spreading hope, inspiration and transformation. So thank you for sharing. And after that, I am going to take my husband down to my son's room and I'm going to give him a kiss. But my son's 19, so he might turn around and tell me to get out. But yes, as I say, you know, there's always pivotal points in our life that we say, that is enough, that is enough. So thank you again for sharing. And when we talk about pivotal points in our life as well, like I always say that when I meet a new speaker on Hit Talks, it's a pivotal point. Honestly, you know, when the message was given to me, the download to curate Hit Talks in the 2nd of February, I was asking the divine, what am I here to do? I'm an international speaker. I'm speaking all over the world. I know people all over the world, from prime ministers to ambassadors to everyday people. What is it I'm meant to be doing? And that's when Hit Talks was given to me, precisely the 8 people, the 8 minutes, 8 different perspectives, 8 p.m. on this day that equals 8, literally dun, 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 dun. But then I was also told, get ego out of the way. It's not about you. And it's not just about the people that you know. It's about the people that the people know, that the people know, that the people know, that the people know. And this is why this is magic, because every time I connect with somebody, I know that they're meant to be. As you say, everything happens for a reason. They're meant to be here. They're meant to be in this platform. They're meant to be sharing their message. And who is watching this live and who is watching this on the replay, it is meant to be. So I also believe when I meet these people that it's meant to be. And Shannon, you know, was connected to me again through Brad. And, you know, when we start speaking about, you know, what is people are meant to be in your field, people are meant to be sharing, you know, I truly believe from my heart about that. And then when I looked into Shannon again, from my soul, I was like, she has got so much in the world to share. She has got so much in the world to inspire, of hope and inspiration and transformation. So a perfect person to actually be here with us at Hit Talks Live. So Shannon, thank you so much, my love, for being with us. And I now give you your 8 minutes to be able to share your message of hope, inspiration, and transformation.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And I'm so thrilled that you gave us the opportunity to show up raw and see what came up, because I'm going to share something I haven't shared before, but I'm really excited to have this opportunity to inspire people with some resources. So I was sitting here, and as I'm listening to people, I'm thinking, you know, I had an episode of domestic violence, but was able to really, you know, nip that in the butt and go, this is just not something I want to tolerate. But then I started looking at, you know, what do I share? And at a young age, I was involved in you know, I kept thinking sex is not, things that happen sexually is not necessarily violence, right? But then I had this memory come back of sexual abuse around a satanic cult when I was a child, and thinking, well, this is definitely a form of violence, violating somebody's, you know, at 10 years old, violating somebody's way of being. And what was so fascinating for me was that, you know, the rumors that were going on and the fear that they had created, and knowing that when we're in a violent situation or when we're in things, it's like sometimes there's these stories around us that either we tell ourselves or in the community. And in our community, they kept saying, they're going to sacrifice a virgin, they're going to sacrifice a virgin, and just weird things started happening as a child. And as I got in the situation, a woman ended up taking me to her house and saying, hey, you know, I want you to have a few drinks. And next thing you know, she takes me out in the woods, and one of these individuals was there waiting. And so the first time I ever shared this story was, you know, I often thought, is this real? You know what I mean? It was like, it was just so unreal that it was like, is this real? And when I shared the story the first time, the person started laughing and didn't believe me. And I ended up shutting down completely, like, again, questioning, am I crazy? Is this real? Is this what happened? And I realized years later when I went on a women's retreat, and it was incredible. The woman across me from at breakfast started sharing how she was recovering from satanic abuse. And her story was horrific. Her twin sister, and her sister is actually in a mental ward. She was not able to get beyond what had happened. And it was like that moment. I mean, I remember like at the retreat, like crying for days going, wow, I'm not crazy. This does actually happen. Like there is this energy that's dark and negative. But yet she was such a light. And the biggest thing that I've gotten, I know that Deidre said this, is like the place of secrets, and the place of not talking, and the place of feeling shame or feeling that it's not okay. And right now in my circle, I have deal with a lot of incredible businesswomen, and I have a woman who has been featured in Huffington Post, international speaker, leader, and she came to me and she told me that she got in a relationship with a man that literally beat her to blood in a hotel room, and she hadn't told anybody because she was so humiliated. And I heard some of these similar stories, and it was like, from connecting with her, she didn't even tell her parents, but she kept having people showing up and looking, she was like, I have this woman showing up and this woman showing up. And it was like God was speaking to her to give it a voice and to come out. And I was here going, girl, like people I know we've said, do this for other people, but there is this freedom when we can find somebody that we can connect with, that we can share with. And it is so important that we stop the silence and that we give it a voice, and to even back it up more is looking for those red flags. There has been so many times where, it's like we get into relationships and we get signs. Like I know, Vicki, you resonated. It's like we get signs all the time. We get messages all the time, and it's like we've been desensitized from tuning in and listening. And then we get into bed together, or then we get into, we get excited, we get focused on the vision. And one of my greatest spiritual teachers told me, even at a 99% yes, it's still a no. And so I've had to really look at all of my acts and my relationships and things and going, it's still a no until it's 100% yes. Like being okay with being on the journey and looking. And so really tuning in and knowing, like you mentioned meditation, pausing, but knowing that when there's a red flag, it doesn't mean ignore it. It means pay attention. And because like there are good people that make poor choices, but there are also people that can put on this beautiful face and talk. And I've learned a lot the last few years about, how I love people so much, and I believe what comes out of their mouth. and sometimes they say the right words, or they talk the spiritual talk, and I think, oh, this is great. And then next thing I know, they're on the side abusing somebody verbally and physically. And so I've had to really open to my eyes to not everybody is who they show themselves to be. And it's that gut intuition. It's looking for those red flags, because when I went back and I looked at the individual and how they showed up and what the red flags were, it was like I didn't listen. So, the big thing is to listen and avoid the secrets. I'm so glad, Jag, that you're here and that you have created a safe space. What I encourage you to do is find somebody to share it with, and not to be loathing in it and staying there, but just there's this healing that happens, as Deidre shared. It was like when she first shared, it was like these people were supporting her and loving her and reflecting back the beauty of how she is. And I can't say enough that if somebody comes to you, because a number of years later, I had a employee come to me and actually share with me something that was going on. And because of the rejection and the not showing up and the laughing of the first person I shared, I was able to, as crazy as the story was that the person was saying, it was like I was able to show up and just go, wow, and give them empathy. And it just led into this huge empowerment place for them. So if somebody comes to you with something like this, just be a great sounding board. Just listen. Don't try to fix it. I mean, it doesn't mean you can't have that conversation, but just be there for them. Just ask, just love, believe in what they're saying, even as crazy as, satanic cults. This is what happens in the world. It's hard to believe. I didn't believe it. And so just believe and just love and show up. And so I have 10 seconds left. Vicki, thank you for, I didn't know I was going to be sharing this today. I love your format, and it was, just beautiful. No more secrets. Let it out.
Perfect timing. And yes, thank you so much for sharing that. And I love the way that you mentioned as well, is because some people do say to me, no, HIT Talks, everyone is practiced, everyone, they know what they're talking about. And, you just hit the nail on the head. Yes, you may, but when you're in the energy, especially the energy of this backstream room and backstage room, backstream room, whatever we call it, now we're virtual. But when you're in the energy, it's just what comes through of what needs to be shared. And I really love the way that the raw and realness comes through when we have the intentions to serve and we have the intentions to support. And thank you so much for being in this space, because I know that there is going to be somebody that's watching one of these 8-minute snippets or watching the whole episode. And if we can be just part of healing that person, being part of giving them some inspirational transformation, then, as I say, it's a ripple effect. And I keep saying that, I just love it. So thank you so much, Shannon, for being here, and Preet for the introductions. And so when we talk about introductions, I've said a few times about bringing everybody into this space, knowing from my heart that they're the right people. And I spoke to Brad earlier, and I said, it was only 24 hours ago that he was going to come on, because he's holding his own special edition. So he is going to be a host, where he is doing what I'm doing now, where he's going to bring in his own people and they're going to share the story. But Brad is going to be Vicki. So he's going to do exactly what I'm saying. And I said, Brad, come on, come into the space, come and see what we're all about. Because when I first met Brad, I actually said to my husband, I love this man. My husband, he says, he's all the time, he's always like, how many men do you love? Or how many women do you love? And I'm like, yeah, but he knows what I mean. And I said, because of the inspiration of what he's doing in the world for women and what he's doing for his daughters. And there's not that many, well, I'm sure there is, but so, okay, I'm sure there is many, but I can't put my words on the numbers onto it, that men that are purely there just to inspire women. And, Brad is one of these amazing men. So again, Brad, thank you for bringing these amazing ladies together to speak. And thank you for being part of HIT Talks. I can't wait for your own special edition. I'm really excited about it. And I can't wait to hear you share. So I now give you your 8 minutes.
Thank you so much, Vicki. It's an absolute honor to be here and be among all of these amazing women who have shown such courageous strength. It's truly an inspiration. So thank you. And Vicki, yes, I'm looking forward to being you. That'll be fun. Thank you again. Thank you for putting together this platform that you've created for hope, inspiration, and transformation. I think it's absolutely amazing. And it's an honor to be here. I sat with this today and I thought, how am I going to start this out? I'm going to be completely transparent. I was so nervous all day leading up to this because I'm not one for public speaking or speaking. Yes, I'm the host of a podcast, but it's a little bit different. I'm hidden behind a computer screen. So this is a little bit different for me. But I wanted to start with a quote because I think it's very appropriate for what's going on in the world today and for my particular situation. And the quote goes like this. It says, "Don't let the behavior of others destroy your inner peace," by the Dalai Lama. And I think it's so appropriate right now for the current climate that we're in the world today. And for my particular situation, I am a father to 2 beautiful daughters. I am a husband to an amazingly beautiful wife. And my 2 daughters, both of them, they're now age 19 and 21. And their journey or their story, yes, my story is a little bit different from all of yours because I'm not personally affected by domestic violence, but I am, I guess, I don't know what the word, I can't think of the word I'm looking for right now, but it ripple affected to affect my life in a way because my daughters are victims of bullying. My youngest was bullied both verbally and physically by boys and girls back in elementary school, as well as my oldest being bullied by girls verbally. And sometimes I honestly believe that the verbal part of the abuse is much worse than the physical. And that's not to take anything away from the physical, but the verbal sticks with you longer. The scars from physical heal. The verbal scars take a lot longer to heal, and it affects your mindset and your confidence and all of that. And I saw how this affected my girls going through the different stages of their lives, from the elementary years into the preteen and into their teenage, and now, of course, in their young adult lives. I see the effects every day, and it's heartbreaking for me. Yes, because of course they're my girls, but also thinking about it on a grander scale, that the fact that there are so many other hundreds of thousands of kids out there who have to deal with and go through all of this type of behavior and have the effects carry through with them in their lives, and have it affect how they view themselves, or that they don't love their bodies, focusing specifically on women because of my daughters, but have it affect how they view themselves, that they don't have confidence in their abilities, or that they don't love their bodies, they don't feel good about themselves. That is absolutely heartbreaking. So I guess my thing to try and give back and help out, of course, first of all, helping my girls deal with and go through that, and being the support that they needed, and ensuring, I mean, my wife and I have always said that from the beginning with these girls, we have to instill these values into them to love themselves and be confident, and that they can be anything they want in the world. They just have to put their minds to it, put in the work and do it, but they can accomplish. And don't ever let anybody tell you you can't. And never, ever, ever, we've stressed this, I don't know how many times, don't ever depend on a man for anything. You are your own dependency. That's who you need to depend on. That's who you need to rely on when it all comes down to it. Yes, of course, you can depend on your parents. We are here. That's our job as parents. But to help bring these girls up and instill these values, I think we need to do this for all of our children. It's so important that these values are instilled in our kids from a very young age. That way it just becomes ingrained in them. It becomes part of their DNA, and they know that this is how they have to be. This is how they have to behave, and that they can do anything they want in life. So as a result of what they've gone through in bullying, it inspired me to create a podcast called Empowerography. And the mission of my podcast, or the focus of my podcast, is on women specifically and solely. Women in the entrepreneurial space, women who have a story, women who work in the corporate world, any woman out there that's got a story to tell. And I do believe that every single woman has a story to share, and that we should be getting the voices out there. So for me to be able to provide this platform as inspiration from my daughters and what they went through and helping them through that, I've created this platform called Empowerography, where I interview specifically women and give them the space. I hold space for them to be able to share their stories on this platform, with the hopes of helping, reaching, and inspiring as many women as we possibly can together. That's the goal for me. I mean, I want to take this podcast to a whole other level, where we reach tens of thousands of women with the hope of inspiring and helping other women out there. I mean, maybe there's a woman out there who doesn't have the confidence to make the jump from her 9-to-5 to a full-time career as an entrepreneur. And through listening to some of the stories of these amazing women I've had on the podcast, she gains that courage, or she gains the know-how and the confidence to do it. For me, that's what this platform is all about, is to be able to share the stories and provide space, provide a platform for these women to have their voices heard. I mean, I know there's a ton of women out there doing this, but I think as a man, it gives me a bit of a unique perspective as the interviewer to provide this space for women. And I know women are incredibly pleased that a man is standing up for them and providing this space for them to share their stories and journeys with as many women as we can possibly reach together. That's the goal for me. And I just want to say thank you so much for all of you and all of the amazing things that all of you women have overcome, and all the women who have been guests on my podcast. Jag's been a guest, Deirdre was a guest, and to be able to provide this platform for these two women and every other woman that's been on the show is just the most amazing feeling, to be able to give back as a result of having these three women in my life, my daughters and my wife, these incredible women who have inspired me to create this platform and provide it for all of you amazing women out there, to get the word out there that, you know what, enough with the repression of women, enough with the bullshit with women not being good enough. It's got to end. We've got to flip the script. We've got to flip the mindset and just change it. So I just want to finish up by saying that how important it is that we instill into our children, because that's where everything starts, is with our children, that they can accomplish anything and they can do anything they want in life. They just have to believe in themselves. And that part comes from us parents as role models to teach them these things. That's what it's all about, is helping our kids and instilling these values. So I'm almost done. I've got 30 seconds left, but I can end it here. And I just want to say thank you so very much for allowing me to be part of this amazing platform, Vicki. You are a beautiful soul and a wonderful woman. And all of you, I am so in awe of all of you who have been on today and spoke. Your stories are incredibly courageous and beautiful. So thank you all.
You are welcome, Brad, and thank you so much, as I say, for for actually being part of the Hit Talks platform. And as when we speak, we all have our visions, we all have our messages, we all have our reasons why. And I'm sure majority of us would know about Simon Sinek. It's starting with the why, and it's very much that I speak with my clients, and my spiritual teachers say to me as well, it's don't even worry about how it's going to happen, and don't even just why is it going to happen. Have the trust. And to share at the moment as well is after the big production that we've just had, I just wanted some time out, and he was like, do you feel guilty for having time out? This is my coach and mentor. And I was like, yeah, I do. And he was like, well, that's why you need stillness. You should never feel guilty. And, this is the thing that we love, when we know we've got a purpose and we know we've got a mission. So thank you so much, Brad, for being part of this and sharing. And what's going to happen now is I'm actually going to give you a little bit of a story from me. Usually I host this. Usually I don't take an 8-minute slot. And as I say, there was a reason why that only 7 people came through, or it only happened with 7 people. And I didn't really know why I was given the purpose, why I was given the message to create a platform on hope, inspiration, transformation. Yes, I've done many things, from corporate, from finance, everything that drove me in my younger days was all about materialistic, the big cars, the houses, working in the George Street in London and being the top of my department. And, I'm a chartered surveyor and working with all the bankers and, all of the material stuff, all of the ego, all of the logos, all of the, like, how many business cards have I got? And I'm a director on this, and, all of these things. And when I actually then decided, just like that, to come away from there and just say, there's something more to life. And you seeking, when you say sometimes you get to this time in your life of seeking or searching. And now when I look back about 6 years later, and I'm thinking, and I think about why on earth was I so driven? Because people used to say to me, Vicky is so successful, she's so driven, she's got this, she's got that, she's got that. And I'd be like, yeah, great. But then when you haven't got it inside, yes, I'm blessed. I've got my husband and I have been together for 25 years, married for 21. I've got a 19 and 17-year-old, and my life is blessed, and I was very, very driven. And when I go back and I think about what really drove me was the fear of being like my parents, the fear of not having what I didn't have, my children not having what I didn't have. I came from an abusive family. And I can remember, from a council estate, I can remember going to school, and I can remember being the only child that couldn't go on school trips. I could remember everyone else going on school trips and everybody else having all the nice clothes and everything else, and I was the one that wasn't. I remember having a little dinner card that the social services would be able to, I'd get 50p for food because, my parents couldn't afford it because the money was being spent on alcohol. And so it wasn't being spent on to care for us as children. And it gives you this drive. And when you go and you think about it, and then, my dad left when I was young, and my sister used to beat me up quite a lot, quite heavily. She used to get me to steal for her. You go into all of these things and you go back and you think about it. And yes, it gives you drive and determination, but it also gives you a reason why, but it's what that reason is. And I was focused for the reason to change was through materialism. My reason to change was not really because I wasn't, I didn't have coaches and mentors around me. I didn't have people to guide and support around me. I didn't have a father or a mother figure around me to actually guide me. My mum left my dad left when I was younger, about, I don't even know what age. I think my memory is blocked out. But my mum left when I was about 12. So from the age of 12, I actually brought myself up. She used to come back every couple of days from her boyfriends into the house, but I was hiding. I couldn't tell the school, I couldn't tell anybody or social services that I was living by myself, because they would then take me into care. So you have all these hiding things, you have these masks that you bring through your adult life. But when you go into that and then you do the work and you surround yourself with the people that are actually there to lift you up, you surround yourself around the people that are there to inspire you, to give you hope and to give you inspiration so you can transform. I believe that perhaps because I was given the gift to love people, to magnetize people to me, to magnetize vibrations people to me. Now that's one of my gifts, and this is not ego, but I do magnetize people to me, and I magnetize the right people majority of the time to me. But it wasn't always that way because of not having any childhood father figure. Then one of my first major boyfriends or long-term boyfriends was 12 years older than me. And he was 12 years older than me because obviously, I look back now, we needed a father figure. And, and you just think, okay, why do you do things like that? Because at the time you don't know. And he used to beat me black and blue. I couldn't go to the same nightclub with him because he was so jealous that if I was in the same nightclub as him and any bloke would come and speak to me, he was a bouncer, that he would either smash them or me when I got home, because I was talking to them, you know. And I remember, you know, the time of being, you know, going to the hospital with matted hair of blood from the back from being like against the wall and things like that. And you kind of put it out of your mind, because then, you know, for me, I needed love. And I was just, you know, I was with him for 4 years, from the age of 18 to 21, and I met my husband at 21. And but you think about it and you put up with it, because, you know, when there wasn't any alcohol involved, he wasn't like that. And, you know, I had a home, you know, where I could sit on the couch with him, and, you know, it was a lot revolved around the alcohol. And then so I was kind of from my parents and the alcohol to a man that I was living with the alcohol, and then the abuse. And then I feel really blessed that I met my husband, who is literally, you know, people used to say that he was, you know, if I was vertical, because I was a little bitch as well, you know, I was quite, you know, quite like, he was vertical. He was so steady. He was, he's like my guardian angel. And I know now that he's been with me for 6 lives, always supporting me, you know, when I talk about things like that. But I just looked at my clock then, and it was 1:11. So I've got 1 minute, 11 seconds. So that's a sign. We always have to look for signs. But, you know, he's there to lift me up. He's there to, you know, to support me. He's my rock. He's always there with the challenges that I have. You know, don't get me wrong, you know, he'll tell me when I'm stupid or anything else like that. But it's being aware of what you've been through in your childhood, of your past. And when you give yourself the time, when you give yourself the space, and that's through meditation, that could be through, you know, seeking out a community, that could be through listening to messages, that could be sharing your messages. It's being aware. That is the thing. Once we're aware, we're able to catch it. We're able to shift it. We can't change it, okay? You know, we can't change our past. We can't live in our past. But what we can do is we can grow from it. What we can do is we can give other people hope from it, for sharing it. What we can do is we can inspire ourselves more to say, God, look at us now. Or we can inspire others. And then also we can really, really continue transforming, because it's the journey that we have to enjoy, you know, the destination. And then you know, once we get to the destination, then we've gone over to a different life, you know, maybe we'll come back as a cat. But as I say, when we get to the destination, it's enjoying the journey. And then we will have the ups and we will have the downs, but it's having the awareness, it's having the community around us to support us in those times of need. And that, I believe, is why I was given Hit Talks, why I was curating Hit Talks and bringing people together. So collectively, we can spread hope, inspiration, and transformation into the world. And the team will be very proud of me, because that is only 8 minutes and 30 seconds. Yay! Oh, so I just, you know, I could talk forever. And one of the messages I got from the team was, put your timer on, Vic, because you will be here for another 20 minutes talking. So again, this is the end of this episode of Hit Talks Live. And every single time I do it, I just get love bumps all over my body. Now, we don't say goosebumps in Hit Talks. You know, a soul sister of mine said, you know, why on earth do you want to be a goose? Well, you know, you don't want to be goose. You don't want to have goosebumps all over your body. You want to have love bumps all over your body. So Hit Talks, one of the things we always say is that when you get love bumps over your body, when you're listening to somebody or you're meeting somebody, or you get a sign or a message, you know that's actually real. So every time I do, when I get these love bumps all over my body, and listening to the stories of inspiration from every single person. So again, thank you so much to everybody that is a speaker on Hit Talks, everybody that is watching the live, everybody that watches the replay, and everybody that watches the 8-minute snippets of hope, inspiration, and transformation that the speakers have, because we do break these down and you will have your own 8-minute talk as well. So again, Thank you so much for being here. We do have another exciting episode that is coming up on the 9th of December. And this is going to be a special edition episode where, again, somebody else is going to be taking the role of me. So we have Valerie from the Independent Woman Network, who's going to be taking over. Is it the 10th of December? Sorry, I said the 9th. The 10th of December, who's going to be taking over the platform and bringing the people together, because this is how we are going to grow as a collective. This is how we are going to spread hope, inspiration, and transformation. And that is by getting everybody to bring their people, their tribe, their collective to share from here. Share from here. So I'm so pleased that Valerie is going to be coming and supporting Hit Talks by doing that. And then I know we're going further afield, but on the 21st of December, because we do also go with the Mayan energy, on the 21st, I didn't even know you had one of those episodes on the 21st of December, where it's a Christmas. So I know it's a theme. We go on the theme of the Mayan energy. So the theme of the Mayan energy is all about new inspiration that brings change, but it's also going to be a Christmas edition. So you have to come and join us to find out what's happening on the Hit Talks Christmas edition as well, because we will make it fun and we will make it exciting. But from the bottom of my heart, I am really sending every single one of you hope. I'm sending every single one of you inspiration, every single one of you transformation. And of course, I'm sending every single one of you love, because in alliance, we can create magic. In alliance, we can spread these ripples throughout the hearts, the heads, and the homes of everybody. Bye-bye.